It's big and it's orange. It's the Topo Athletic Mnt Racer 2. Let's dive in. Hi everyone, hope you're doing safe and well out there. Today we're talking about the Topo Athletic Mnt Racer 2. Designed for technical trails in what Topo is saying is a lightweight, nimble and rugged package. The second edition of this mountain racer offers a new upper mesh for increased breathability, a new TPU heel counter in order to keep you locked into that shoe for a more stable ride. And the new updated midsole offers some light guidance and now features zip foam, one of the squishy technology that Topo put into their shoes for a better response underfoot. Finishing off the shoe is the outsole, and that is clad in the very super sticky Vibram Mega Grip. So a few facts and figures about this shoe. It has a 5mm drop, so that's 30mm on the heel, 25mm on the forefoot. It weighs in 283 grams in a UK 9. The cushioning is described as moderate, so soft but with some ground connection, and there's some stability worked into the shoe and help you on those technical trails, so you don't lose your footing. So in regards to how my experience has been in these, I've put in well over 50 miles, about 60 actually, into this shoe now. And first experiences were really positive, and I've got on with the shoe quite well. However, there are some likes and dislikes, but we'll get through to those first. But we'll get through to those later. But first of all, let's just work our way through the shoe. So we'll start at the bottom. It's clad in Vibram Mega Grip. It's one of the best compounds out there for grip. It will grip on absolutely anything: wet, dry surfaces, mud, rock, tree roots, pretty much anything. So super grippy. The lug depth is about 5mm, and there's plenty of room in between those lugs, so the mud doesn't get caught up in there. You'll see I haven't cleaned these very well since I came back from my last run in them, but the mud has pretty much gone out of there totally. There's no signs of wear at all in that Vibram Mega Grip, in the outsole. As I say, I've done about 60 miles, but there's nothing to speak of at the moment, so all very positive. Working our way to the midsole, so we've got in here the zip foam, which is squishy. It's not Hoka squishy. I would say stability wise, it's probably more along the lines of a Innovate Trailfly, not as deeply cushioned, but that kind of soft but dense feeling. So that's quite good, and it offers a nice protection throughout. There's no rock plate in this shoe, which I think is something that it could do with, especially on some sharp rocks. You don't really feel them so much unless you hit a really big one, and then you might feel it a little bit in your shoe, but otherwise it's okay. So but otherwise the grip's perfect. The midsole is squishy. I think from my point of view, I think the sole is squishy enough to see you over a run of about anything up to about 20 miles. After that, I'm not so sure how comfortable the shoe would be based upon my experiences. And now I work our way up to the upper. This new mesh which Topo have put into the shoe is very soft. There are limited overlays on it, which is a little bit worrying because there's not a lot of protection around here. You've got a nice toe bumper, that's really good, and it's pretty solid as well. I'll come back to that in a minute. And then you've got some welded overlays around the lace eyelets there, and around the back where the TPU heel counter is. So that's all positive, and you've got this big rubber bumper around the bottom here as well to protect your shoe. So it's pretty rugged from that perspective, but there's not a lot of protection on the top of the foot. So maybe something to think about if you try these out, particularly where you're running in, if you're in wooded areas or up mountains or something like that, which is basically what the shoe's been designed to do. But saying that, you do get a decent lockdown in the shoe. You can pull those laces in, and I had no issues with slippage or anything. If we work our way up further to the tongue, this tongue is not gusseted in the shoe, and I'll come back to that as part of my likes and dislikes later. There is some padding in the tongue, but it's very, very thin. I don't know if you can see that, probably, possibly not, but it's a very, very thin tongue. Potentially you might feel the laces through that. I did a little bit, but again, like I say, I'll come back to it in my likes and dislikes. But yeah, it is quite thin. I like a bit of padding in my tongue. The padding around the heel counter is absolutely fine, keeps you nice and snug in there. And then you've got a wide toe box as per all Topos. It's designed to fit with your feet, and I have quite wide feet, so it's really good for that. Another thing I will come back to is the depth of that toe box, something to point out in a minute. So the shoe is priced at £140, which I think is quite high. I guess in today's market it's moderate. It seems the shoes are going up in price, but yeah, it's still quite steep. You can probably get discounts on it now because this shoe came out last year, so you may get it slightly cheaper if you shop around. In terms of colorways, you've got this color, this orangey color, which they call mango black. And then there's another colour called bone black. It's like a greeny grey colour. You'll see those on the screen. And yeah, I think that's about it. On to my likes and dislikes. So first of all, likes. The grip. Really happy with the Vigor Omega grip. Super good on everything that I've run it on, so no problems at all. Durability, looks like the shoe's going to hold up for a very long time. I see no wear at all on this, so durability all good. Be interesting to see how that upper mesh lasts, particularly at the flex point where it bends there. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Breathability, yeah, very breathable, no issues there. That mesh is doing a good job. And then comfort, I guess overall it's a comfy shoe. But I bought this potentially for running ultras in, but I don't think I can run it that far, and I'll go over why that is in the dislikes. So the first dislike is tongue. The tongue's not gusseted, and I did notice on 2 or 3 of my runs there that tongue just slightly moves to the side a little bit. Which is quite annoying. You have to keep straightening it up, retie your laces, etc. That's quite annoying. I always like my tongue to be gusseted in the shoe. Because that tongue is thin, there were occasions where I could feel the laces going on the top of my foot. Now again, you don't want that when you're running long distance. So yeah, that's a negative in my like. So I'd like to see in the next version else, I'd like to see a bit more of a padded tongue potentially. And then the last thing, I kind of mentioned this a few moments ago, the toe box, whilst it's very, very wide and there's plenty of wriggle room for your toes in there, it is quite narrow. And I noticed towards the end I did a 20-mile run in this shoe, and I noticed towards the end that even though my toes are nowhere near coming to the end of the shoe, it felt like they were being pressed, almost like someone was standing on your foot a little bit towards the end of that run. And they started to get a little bit sore. Up until that point, I'd say on other runs of 10-15 miles, no issues at all, really comfy, great grip, really good for running through the forest, etc. No issues at all. But yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't the case after I got some longer distances. So with that, I mean, I don't think I'll be running any ultras in this, but I will give it another go and see whether that improves or not. But fingers crossed it does. But otherwise, yeah, that will be a short run shoe for my rotation, I think. If you've tried the Mnt Racer 2, or you know somebody who has, leave a comment in the description below. Be great to hear what you guys think of the shoe, and whether you have the same issues with the toe box and with the thin tongue as what I've had. But otherwise, I think that's a wrap. Look forward to going through another review with you soon. But train hard, race hard, have fun. Until next time, see you soon.